I'd like to share with you a few tips on how you should drill this position. Whether you are an experienced fighter or an instructor who wants to pass that information to your student, it is important that you slow down sometimes and break down step by step. This position, as you see, I have the right hand on the collar, the left hand holding his elbow. My objective is always to keep my hip mobile as I go for the position. Try never to give him opportunity to start passing. My foot touches the hip, and here, I don't know if you notice how easily I move through the mat. Fold me a little bit. See, I always keep the distance. So see, anytime I need to move my hip, I use my weight against my shoulder. I can pull my hip back. So this is very important. Do not let the ground delay or hold you back. Okay, here, look. Move there. As you keep intense pressure on the hip, you always add your second leg to push, sometimes the other leg, and kind of like change directions. See here how I'm kind of moving around him? See, I'm moving around him, I'm moving around him. Here in this situation, as you see, I already built the angle where I can isolate better his arm and eventually climb the leg over, okay? A lot of times climbing the leg high behind the neck could be already a good way for you to go and finish. I don't know if you noticed too, I never let the grip on the lapel go, because I want to make sure if he ever tries to pull his arm out, go ahead. I have the neck, go ahead, pull. See here, my legs are all squeezing. My legs are not easy there. Now here, often enough, this angle won't allow me to fully extend, especially when he resists. Okay, so that's why sometimes I pivot. If my leg ever goes over his face, several fighters I've seen, they try to finish the armbar facing down. The problem you're going to have, this almost seems like a sure bet, but as I kind of proceed on the position and go, Tim can easily kind of walk over my back and kind of like, yes, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And eventually, I will end up with an almost submission. And unfortunately, almost does not count. Okay? So going back again for the drill. Remember, once you unlock your feet, you want to make sure you don't give any opportunity for your opponent to fight against. See, I'm always trying to break his stance. Get your posture there a little bit. See, as I move, look, I'm always one foot on the hip, the other foot on the leg. Look how I'm kind of circling around. Any opportunity I have, I'm going to climb my leg high. Okay? Now, anytime his elbow bends, it is an opportunity for me to do what we call Americana squeeze. Instead of a straight armbar, I'm going to grab his hand, and as I pull his wrist towards the ceiling, I will lift and push my hip against his elbow. Okay? So as you notice, his arm is not extended. He's trying to resist by bending his elbow. So here, he gives me the opportunity to go for this. Be careful when you use this leverage here, because sometimes unintentionally you might hurt him. Okay, now here proceeding with the position, keep fighting there. A lot of times, you see I go here, stretch your arm again. See, I want to finish, but here I feel like I almost have it. If I don't follow with the pivot at this point, some guys might feel tempted to actually roll out of the position too. They kind of keep rolling. You see that? I almost had him. He escaped again. So, to finalize once more the importance of circling your hip around and keep continuous motion. As you see here, my body moves close to me again. Anytime I need to move my hip, I turn my shoulder to the mat like I want to face the ground, my hip comes out. Very important that if you ever feel you're losing the grip here, one thing that can happen often too, your partner might actually keep the elbow bent. You see that? The elbow bent there 90 degrees. So here right now I'm trying to pull his arm, but I don't have the angle there. You can momentarily let the foot on the hip go and use your knee. See here, kind of under his arm, and that kind of brings his arm back. You see that? That will lead him into a situation we described earlier on, the leg climb shoulder. But I'm still going back to the circling around the arm. So you see how I'm moving here? If you keep following me, walk to my guard. Every time he walks to my guard, look, I'm moving around. Eventually when I climb the leg high behind the head, what angle do I have again? I have the Americana squeeze. Okay? If he stretches the arm in a certain way, as if he's gonna roll, I pivot. And if he ever rolls from here, I actually follow him. So it almost looks like I did the Russian maneuver, but actually I just went along with him. Still grabbing the lapel. If you ever try to pull his arm out, see there's a lot of resistance here, you know. And once I get the leg over the face, I have the submission ready to go. Just to touch briefly also on another point here, specifically about the Russian maneuver. Okay, we're gonna kind of see again one more time how you should do the drill. As you see, his knees are on the floor, so he's not yet standing up. Okay, so this position is like right from the beginning. As you open your legs, try to put enough pressure on his body as you move that you do not allow him to post the base for standing up. Okay, as you see here, I still need to bring my body under and more around his elbow in order to build the angle here. Look how I'm moving everything, hip and shoulder. See, I keep the pressure on the far leg. Once I have this angle here, I already circled all the way under his arm. I literally rest my calf behind his head. And like I said, once more, you're gonna see that happening several times. Your partner might try to keep the arm from stretching out. He feeds you right away into the Americana squeeze. Now, going for the Russian, okay? We're gonna kind of pivot here. As I go here, the Russian consists of turning sideways. Why do I do that? It's a lot easier for my hip. I can push all the way forward. Look how far my hip can stretch. Do you see that? If I was facing the ground kind of limits. And sometimes I don't have a stable position to arch, which you need. Here, so I have a lot of push with the hip. That's why. Now, once I have the Russian normally, the arm near the floor is the one that you keep control of. Okay, you're not going here. Okay, because you want to be able to block his legs in case he ever tries to walk over. Okay, go back again. So I keep the lower arm grabbing. The top arm will try either to intercept his legs in case he walks over the head. Go ahead. See, I intercept. Okay. A lot of times I can use this leg here to help flip him over. But often what I do, I kind of wait a little bit and I kind of reach out for the far leg. Okay, that gives me a lot better control here. You see, I kind of move, look how I move my body under him. You see how I kind of like use my foot on the ground? When the person is really heavy, don't just rely on pulling him up. That sometimes is enough, but a lot of times I add more. Look, as I keep walking with my foot on the ground, keep turning underneath to the ceiling. That completes the position. Once you're here, some people try to rush into the submission. Always align your hip a little further under the elbow. So when you pass the leg over the face, there's nothing else to add, okay? And one little wording here, in case your partner ever had the grip like this as you finish the rush, okay? So I had the arm here, okay? Normally I should hold my lapel, okay? That's a good grip there, all right? So let's say this is what I finished, the position. If I intend to break his grip at this point, what I do, I kind of stop momentarily, regroup my grip a little higher, okay? And I get my posture straight here. So there's already enough pressure pulling his arm to the ceiling. I don't pull with my back, I pull with my hip, kind of sink my hip against the ground, get a better posture. Now I'm gonna do what we call the tilting of my head. I grab his leg, and I keep pushing my feet against the ground. You see how his head is not touching the ground anymore? See, I have the leg control to prevent him from rolling, move any way he wants. See, he tries to move either way. See, he only has one foot to work with. I do not allow him to do anything with his leg. Now, once his head is off the ground, I'll try to dig my thigh or my knee. I kind of turn my knee in, and I start stretching his chin to the floor. I stretch, I stretch, I stretch. See, what happens is strains a lot his neck, and it also adds a lot of pressure against his arm. The arm that I'm holding with, I try also to point my elbow to the ceiling. That's another detail. Don't keep your elbow down, okay? When you're here, hold again for a second here. Once the head is up, okay, make sure you turn, you stretch, you stretch, you stretch, and look, I'm pulling the elbow up like this. Eventually, I don't even have to change anything about the grip. All I need to do is use my body and my hip and have the full extension of the leverage. Now we're going to see an additional variation that we covered earlier on. I am an advocate of climbing the leg over the shoulder of whichever arm you're targeting. It's a very powerful control. The three situations I'm going to try to figure here will be first, when your partner has even hands on your chest. We call that even arms. Later, we're going to see when the guy has uneven hands. Okay? One hand high, one hand low. And third, when he has both arms low. Okay? Each situation requires a different setup. Let's start with the first and easiest one. Whenever someone gives you all this space, I still have the collar control, and I'll have the elbow control, whichever arm I'm going to target. Okay? It's important to establish who has control of what right from the beginning. And the way you impose your control is, as you open your legs, you create space with your hip, enough that you feel comfortable placing your foot against your partner's hip. Now, it is important here that I break his stance at every opportunity he tries to stand on his feet. See here, I always kind of move and I push and I pull the collar. I really have to keep a lot of pressure in order to prevent him from moving too far up beyond the point where my leg would be able to reach his shoulder. Once I'm here in this position, I'm going to favor moving my hip towards, like I said, the target arm. Okay, but my objective here is just to reach my calf over the shoulder. That's all I'm aiming right now. I'm not trying to armbar my partner. I'm trying to get the shoulder. Yeah, keep your posture, move forward a little more. Good, okay. So here we are. This is a good position. Why do I keep, though, the hand holding the lapel? Okay, a lot of times, this is a critical point. People rush to grab the arm and try to push the face. Any minute I let go of that grip, he's going to thrust his shoulder forward. And as his shoulder gets into my legs, there's no way I have an angle to circle my leg over his head. I'll have pretty much to start the whole process again. So besides controlling your partner's stance and head, this is also effective to push against the shoulder when he tries to charge his weight forward. So keep this grip as long as it takes until the end of the technique. So going again, as I open space here, I really establish a lot of pressure. As you see here, I pull the elbow of the arm I'm going for, and as I climb my leg over the shoulder, one thing I'm really watchful for is if his elbow is pointing out. And that would be always the case when the guy fights back. He's going to try. Here, I keep the pressure on the shoulder, I pull the elbow. Now I'm going to use what we call the punch grip. Instead of just grabbing the arm, I kind of punch. See, I put my fist against his elbow, and look my hip here, up and down, lifting up and down. Every time I lift my hip, it creates space. See how gradually his elbow slides to the inside. See how aligned my hip is right now? Go back and stand. So don't rush into trying to get the leg over the face or rush into the armbar, because here you can't. You can't right now. There's no angle for me to get the leg around unless I lift and then push, push, push. In this case, I use my hand as well. Now here you establish the control again. Most of the time, the leg that I have over the shoulder is the one that I keep my foot under. Like I will always lock with the other leg over. It gives me a lot more control and tightness than if it's this case here. So I want to see the other foot over, preferably. Best case scenario in this position, grab the head. Okay, you grab the head, because your partner, he's going to try to get up. He's going to try to get up in posture, lift your head a little bit. If I grab his head, it's additional weight he has to carry. Okay? If he tries to charge his weight forward, I push the shoulder. So I'm kind of keeping him in a checkmate. Now the last thing I need, the finishing touch, is the 3 little steps, what we call. I raise my hip, very important. If I don't raise my hip, any minute I open my legs, he's going to pull his elbow out. See, there's no way I can control the arm. Go back one step. So when I'm here, I elevate my hip to the ceiling and I squeeze my calves against his back. So there's a lot of pressure against his shoulder now. Now once I grab the head, okay, I'll step the left, in this case, then the right, then the left. And here I have the V grip, what we call, and I can go fully extension. I really enjoy keeping that hand on the shoulder because even from here, if you ever try to put his weight against me, I always keep all this space here that he can break. Okay? And here I go until I can extend his arm with my hip. Alright? Going back one step here, second case scenario, right before I grab the head, my partner is going to try to move his head opposite direction where my leg is. So I'm trying to circle my leg over. See how he's going that way? Okay, once that happens, let's just move a little bit this way for a second because I wanted to set this angle here. So I had the shoulder here. I was about to grab the head, and here my partner starts to move this way. You keep the shoulder block, as I say, and rush to intercept any grip that he might try. You see how he's trying to hold his arm? So here, even before that happens, go back one step, I already have my arm grabbing his hand, regardless. And here, whether he has his grip on his arm or his grip over mine to prevent me from pulling, it's not just my arm pulling. Resist a little bit. If you feel any pressure, let me know. It's my hip motion. Look here, my hip, my whole body against his elbow. It creates an unbearable pressure. Do you see how his arm is giving? Here's on the limit of tapping right there. Okay, that's the tap right here. All right. The only recourse you have on this position will be to try to move his head again to where the original position was. Okay, so move your head the other way to try to change the angle. Once that happens, he actually gives me again what I was looking for in the first place. Hip high, remember, so he doesn't pull the elbow out. Climb one leg, climb the second leg, and finally you get your leg over and go for the squeeze. Okay? In this particular position, as we're here, there's an observation. If for some problem you might have, like when the guy, if he stands up in this position, okay, as he stands up, he can actually, even when I have my shoulder, his shoulder controlled, he can walk forward or make it more difficult for me to finish the stretch here. If that's the case, you're going to, as he stands up, you're going to change the grip, like I said, into the V grip, which all it consists of is your thumb inside your lapel, cross lapel, opposite lapel, and you pull your wrist against his wrist. Okay? In this case, you don't need the hand on the shoulder anymore because it won't be of any use. Instead, you're going to target his leg here. I kind of accommodate my shoulder. Look how I comfortably move here. What is my objective here? First is to finish him. If his weight prevents me from finishing him, I'm gonna just barely break his balance over here. Do you see how his knee is collapsing here? I mentioned that earlier in the previous sequence, that a lot of times people tend to try to flip the person and end up on top. My concern is the submission. So as long as he cannot put his weight back on me, go ahead, Tim, try to put your weight back on me. Do you see here how I kind of keep my legs tight behind his back? My legs are never relaxed. And here, for instance, if he tried to pull his arm out because of the V grip, look, see, it takes a lot of work. If on top of that I add the calves squeezing the back, that becomes really difficult. Now, if instead I try to flip him, I'm going to actually feed him leverage to eventually pull the arm out. You see how the arm is going out? That's why one additional reason you don't want to insist on flipping your partner from this position. Your goal is to submit him. And here you already have the position. Okay? So just refreshing one more time. Collar control, elbow control. We have an even position. Okay? So here we go. As we open the legs, get easy. Here, I want to climb the leg. If there is any need for me to move his elbow in, my hip keeps moving up and down. Okay, best case scenario, head control, lift your hip, 1, 2, and 3. I have the position. If from this situation, head moves that way, okay, I grab the hand from the beginning. See right here, pull and push with the hip until there's enough pressure for him to tap out. Let's see now when the arms are uneven. For instance, we covered this when they have the even hands, even arms on the chest. Now your partner will start with one arm high, the other arm low. The problem I have here is he's already giving me trouble with this leg. For instance, if I wanted to initiate the attack the same way as we worked earlier on, as soon as I open my legs to start to move, there are two possibilities here. He's going to start pushing my leg and getting his knee over, and I will lose my guard in the process. The second situation is, even if I was able to post my foot on the hip, as I try to circle my hip towards the arm I'm targeting and climb my leg over, this leg will not be able to follow because his elbow is blocking it. So, knowing that already by figuring how his position starts, as soon as I open my legs, I'm going to really try to go 180-degree turn. Do you see how my knee gets inside his elbow? I have one foot on the hip, and my knee is sliding in, and that knee comes back blocking his chest or shoulder. As soon as I'm there now, okay, I move a little bit more pressure against his leg. I don't want to allow him to recover his posture, nor I want to give him space to get his arm inside my leg again. I keep my my knees really tight. So here right now, this is the angle I'm looking for. I don't know if you notice here that I already have the elbow controlled inside my hip. I climb my leg, and as you see several times how often the Americana squeeze will be available. Okay, going back again. Uneven arms. So as soon as you open your legs, you want to get that knee under the elbow right away. Block. Okay, once you're here, you move, push that leg out. Okay, get your hip under his arm, climb your leg high. You got the Americana squeeze. That's how you overcome his arms when they're positioned uneven. The drill that you use to make this position conditioned fast and easy enough for you not to fail as you open your leg is, as soon as I open, my knee turns in. If he tries to push my leg right now, there's no leverage for him. In the process here, I bump my hip off the mat. You see how my knee pops under? My knee now comes back right here against the chest. Really tight. Move a little bit. Use your foot to push the leg up to the point where you have your hip under. Climb your leg behind the neck and grab the wrist for the final Americana squeeze. Go back again now. So as soon as I open, see, I'm turning. Now one thing here, when you move your hip, remember, your shoulder heavy on the floor and turning. See, that allows my hip to bump. Look, my hip bumps. That's critical for you to create space and dig your knee underneath his elbow. As soon as you're there, block. Okay, push that knee out. Circle. Climb your leg over. Americana squeeze. Okay, now what we're going to try to accomplish is another scenario that is difficult from the beginning. He has both hands low. He had both hands high. He had one hand high, one low. Now he's going to start with both hands low. The problem with this position, as you see, resistance please, I have no leverage whatsoever to pull his arms out. See, his arms are not maneuverable at this point. What I try to do is, I'm going to open my legs, but I have, as I do, make sure that he doesn't have his elbows controlling my legs. Look how I kind of keep moving my knees back and forth. Do you see here what I'm doing? This pendulum here? What I'm trying to accomplish here is get my knees kind of behind the elbow. So I kind of keep digging back and forth until I create this space. The knees now will allow me to bring him up. See, as he comes up, I help bring him as high as possible. In this position here, as you see, his grip has been affected. See, he's no longer in the same position. And now, before he regroups his grip, I already addressed the collar, I already have the elbow. I'll go right away for the leg climb on the shoulder. And I repeat the sequence again from the beginning. So, when you have a situation like this, if for some reason you don't have reach over the elbow, that's also okay to hold the sleeve. Thumb inside the sleeve, okay? What's critical is that you don't stop moving your hip and use your knees, look, to kind of dig. Look how my knees eventually, as I move my hip back and forth, they dig under his elbow. You see that? Now, whether he wants to stay low or not, see my knees start to bring the elbow up. I switch the grip, I keep bringing him high and help, you know, shift his weight higher and higher until his grip is no longer a problem. And I switch the grip right away. A lot of times from here, I even skip the foot on the hip. I just kind of open my legs and climb right away. Just go like a vice grip there. And I already have the shoulder blocked. Bump my hip. Get the position there, hip high. 1, 2, and 3. Remember, once more, do not give space when you open your legs. Like for instance, if I open the legs now, see how he's spinning and getting his knees across, go back again. I don't care if you're holding the sleeve, the elbow, whatever you can, you stretch and turn your knee in. Stretch and turn your knee in. See, tries to push your leg, go ahead, push. See, the knee slips under, push on my leg. See how it actually makes it easier for me to kind of overcome that push. Go again. Look, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Look at that. Knee up, elbow up, bring him high. As soon as his grip is no longer there, I go for the shoulder with a vengeance. I already have the hand on the elbow. Push the shoulder, pull the elbow. I either clamp right away, or if you need more angle, foot on the hip to adjust the hip a little bit. Climb, lock, bump your hip and push the elbow. I momentarily lost the collar grip here, just to alleviate the pressure on his neck. And here you finish the way you're supposed to. Remember here, look at my hip. Hip high. Hip low, you escape. Hip high. Okay, so I have here, hip high. 1, 2, and 3. And finish up. See how we can fix some problems when your partner does not cooperate as you go for the armbar. The situation we're going to cover first as we build our position. We've done the drill where we circle towards the target arm, climb the leg over the shoulder, and I'm about to get him in the armbar. Right before I pass the leg over, or as I pass the leg over, he pulls his elbow out. In this case, as you see, I didn't keep my hip high enough, and often, you know, a lot of times people think this is the end of it, As soon as that happens, you can still fix the problem by swinging your leg back over the face. And as you do it, you stretch your body and slide towards your head a little bit. I don't know if you noticed, my knee is going to put a lot of pressure against his face. Very important to push the face. As I coil my other leg. See, even if his elbow was wide, in this case here, as I coil and bump my hip a little bit, you see how I put the position? I'm trying to go easy with the leg against his neck, because that can become, almost by accident, a choke right here. Feel that pressure there?
Yes, sir.
But my goal, of course, is just to keep a strong grab onto his neck. And once I get my second leg over, I try to go right over the forehead. So here you have a reversed armbar, switching from one side to the other after you missed your first attempt. Going back to the position again, I would like to recommend, since you have seen the setup of the armbar already, let's cut to the chase and start the position from here already. I just want to see both partners playing like this. And basically what you're going to do, once your partner pulls the elbow out, okay, you're going to keep your legs tight. As you bring your leg over, okay, your knees start pushing. Look how it's important for you to move your whole body. I kind of use my elbows as a wing here, kind of drag myself away from him. Anytime he tries to move close to me, I match his move. Look, I never let him regain control. As I push, see, my knee brings his elbow up. Okay, move my hip a little bit, cross the leg across the forehead. Very strong position here. If you ever try to stack me again, then I'm not using my hands in this case. Do you see how I can keep my hip elevated for the entire time his arm is extended? I never keep my hip down. The second situation is because I'm keeping this leg tight behind the neck, if you ever try to ride his shoulder against my thigh to pass the guard, there's a lot of grab on his neck. It's very hard for him to pull the elbow out as he attempts to put his weight on me. And finally, his head is controlled in case he wants to change angle. But in any case, see, this leg over the forehead will prevent you from doing so. The submission is easy, and just pull the elbow, push the elbow with your hip, and that's good to go. Okay? So one more time, if you happen to be already in that position, your legs work in cooperation with each other. So as I miss the position here, I climb one leg a little higher. As I switch here, remember the wings? See, so here you move a little as you push the face. Keep moving a little bit. I don't know if you notice, I keep kind of flying as I go push the face, cross over the forehead. I have the control. It's a full scale armbar. By the way, if you miss the position, over here, go ahead, miss. And here your partner changes the angle before you can get the leg over. Okay, keep your pressure. Try to put all your weight against your shoulder so you can bring back and still go ahead, keep moving. You still do the wing. You see here, that wing motion is going to make a big difference on your attempt to switch sides when you go for the armbar. So remember the wing, okay? Remember the knee push on the face. We're going to see now a second situation that takes place. As you notice, I'm not going to start setting up the armbar. I'm going to already start with the position. So don't worry about not having a perfect setup here. But here, what I want to see is this. Do you see how his hand is inside my leg already? As a matter of fact, let me start from the beginning. And we're going to have a full overview of what I'm talking about here. So we're here, resist a little bit there. So here I go. Once I establish the foot on the hip, bump my hip, I climb my leg. And right before I start setting up the position, his hand is going to be watching and waiting for the opportunity to push my leg. So if I do ignore the hand, as I go for the position, once I pass my leg over his face, I don't know if you noticed, there's a block already. He can generate a lot of leverage, pushing my leg and actually dragging his arm out. The problem I have with this position is, as you saw the first drill we've done when we switch sides, when he pulls the arm out, there's nothing left for me, nor I can get my leg over the head anymore. And even if I did, I don't have this arm in the right position for me to attack. So I have to address this arm, this hand, before I insist on going for the armbar. So what I recommend, and now we're gonna see how to correct that situation there. As you build up your attack, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, bump your hip, climb your legs. Once you feel your partner has that arm, he's using that hand to block, I want this hand here that you have free to kind of bump your hip and sneak your hand inside, okay? Here, actually, when you go here, you can stretch, and you keep your control, and then you proceed as nothing happened. As you see here, it's clear, okay? This position sometimes, though, might actually be addressed not before you get the leg over, but after. Let's say here I got the leg over here, and he got this position, okay? The only benefit of that grip on the lapel right now is the fact that he has a harder time. Pull your arm out. He's going to have a harder time pulling the arm out. See, he still might be able to, but do you see how he has to fight? Okay, let's go back one step. So don't underestimate that grip there. But here now, as soon as he has this hand here, after, in this case, I step my leg over, what I'm going to do, keep going there, I'm going to address that arm right away. I'll go back with my leg over the other shoulder and stretch. See, I broke the grip. Now I lock the shoulder, and then I start building up again. This time I have this arm blocking the hand, so I don't have a problem with that hand anymore inside. So if his hand was inside right here, bump your hip to open the space, control tight, get your leg stretched out, control the shoulder, and here if he tries to use that hand again, go ahead. See, I'm kind of like blocking right there. In the meantime, 1, 2, 3, I got the steps, I don't have to worry about it anymore. The arm is gone, okay? Now I want to see 1/3 and last option that I believe is going to make a difference on how successful you are in case you go for arm bars. You do everything according to the book, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, okay? You're about to get the arm, 1, 2 and 3, and your partner gets the knee on your tailbone, knee against your hip. Yeah, that position there, the problem is I cannot keep my hip high enough to eventually finish his arm. It looks like I almost have his arm, but the knee on my hip here will generate such a powerful lever that as he pushes and pulls the arm at the same time, his arm will literally disappear before my eyes. So, what I'd like to see, no matter how you start the armbar setup, okay, you're going here, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, you're going, as you feel for some reason that your partner gets the knee on the butt. Okay, here what I like to see is let go, hip bump right away. You trip his foot with your hand. Okay, your hand kind of trips, hip bump, hip bump, hip bump. See how he kind of loses his balance as I hip bump and push him to the ground. I don't have to change anything here. The position is done. I just finish him off. Okay, do you see how I'm just tripping the foot? So remember, as you trip the foot, just for a second here, as you trip the foot, you need to lift your hip, trip the foot and try to point your thumb to the floor, okay? And you don't stop tripping, bumping your hip. I like moving in a circular way, but his foot will not follow me, as you see here, this motion. So putting the position in perspective once more. Let me start right here for a second. I'm gonna just kind of go here and yeah, once the guy gets the knee on my butt, hip up and down. See that? Hip up and down. My hand trips. See how my hand is tripping? Over here, hip up and down, hip up and down. Here, as I kind of stretch him a little bit, he collapses over his own foot. And here is, needless to say, I have the position. Let's see a few options when your partner is standing up inside your legs. I have my good friend, student, and one of my first black belts, Clay Pittman, here helping me out, demonstrating these techniques that I believe will make a difference in your game. Let's see a couple of options here right now. Your partner's objective is not to wait for my attack, he's going to stand up right from the beginning, okay? So as he stands up, he has to make 2 steps. Go back again. As you see, my arms are cool. I'm kind of waiting for the opportunity. I did not initiate anything. I'm kind of waiting for him to do the second step. So he goes 1 step, step and step. As soon as he does that, I already have, in this case, my left foot on the hip. That's usually the leading leg. As soon as I add the second foot, before he gets any stance, I'll add the right foot. Now it doesn't matter where he goes. Move away from me, move away from me. I can literally, look, go ahead, move. I chase him. Anytime I lose control, go ahead, back up a little bit. I drag my hip back. I have the control of the elbows. And in this position, what my objective is to elevate my partner. I don't want his feet to touch the ground. As you see, it's like I'm riding a car here. I can turn the wheel whichever way I want. I can have control over the shoulder. You see how his hip kind of moves? I have full control. My objective though, although it looks like he's gonna fly, is not to flip him. Look, I'm not sweating to keep him up in the air. Sorry to keep you that long there, but we're gonna finish the position. I'm gonna attack this arm here. So I'm gonna work two things. The leg, right foot on the leg, left foot on the hip here. You see how I kind of make him spin? As he falls onto the ground, my legs are spread out. I still have control over both elbows. What do I have to do now is just step over the face and finish the position without a problem. Easy to do armbar right here. Going back again to the beginning of the position. So you have to mentally count two. One step, two steps. It is mandatory that you have control over both arms. I cannot have, for this position, the hand on the lapel. This is strictly elbow control. Once your partner stands up, second step. Okay, as I push, I add this second leg. Go ahead, move. If I lift him up a little bit like that, as you said, right foot pushes the thigh, left foot lowers a little bit and keep him from posting the other leg on the ground. See that? Once he falls, I still have control over his arms also to save him from hitting the ground with too much impact. Since your training partner is a valuable tool for your training, it wouldn't be nice that you pound him on the ground every time you do this drill. So make sure you use the grip on the elbows to alleviate the impact. And finally, leg over the face, finish him off. One word of advice, one more time real quick. As you know, as everything, if you wait too long, you might not be able to do the position. So the timing here is critical. Second step, okay, go ahead. One. Second step, one leg, and you add the second foot. Remember here, if he ever makes any attempt to move away from you, pull his elbows, relax your legs, slide your hip back under. Here you have the elevation already. This position, as I said, is not limited to the armbar, which is the purpose of this drill, but you can easily maneuver your partner and follow him wherever he goes. And you end up in a good top mount position, which will be addressed later on. I also would like to discuss here a second alternative. In this case, I will miss by purpose my second foot on the hip, and he's going to be able to eventually get a full stance standing up. Okay, go ahead. So as I go here, yeah, he got that. Go ahead, stance. See here, it's kind of like right now beyond recover for me. I don't have my right foot, just the left. So what I do, I kind of get my legs around his knees. Look how my head will move, like a pendulum. Every time I move my head, whichever direction, I'll squeeze my calf. Squeeze my calf right behind his legs, so you see how his knee turns in? So I keep that pressure there. Then I'm going to do a pendulum against the other leg and squeeze the calf behind the other knee. As you see now, I can touch my toes, I can cross my feet. My objective here, you see the space between his knees? I want to keep his knees glued together. So as I have control over here, I will eventually squeeze his knees together here. Okay, he's off balance. Keep your balance now. Strong balance there. Clay, come on, don't fall. Here what I do now is my whole body against his legs. So I move my hip to the side and then my back. Look how I'm moving out of the way, and I turn the wheel. See, and pull him just a little. As he collapses here, I kind of buffer his fall by kind of grabbing his shoulder. As I go on top, I keep squeezing my knees all the time. Move a little bit, go anywhere you want. Do you see here how I don't touch my feet on the ground? I'm keeping everything tight so I can eventually step out of the legs and end up across on the side mount, which you're going to also address later on. This second attack and reversal is called the plier. So best case scenario for this drill, You're gonna have the armbar after you have your feet controlling the hip. We'll call that the tomo inagi, which is the name of that position, armbar setup. So go again, one more time. Second step. See, now I added the second foot. Timing is on my side at this point. So once I have the elevation, foot on one leg, the other foot works on the other leg, I make this body spin, let my leg go, cross over the face, done deal. And once more, the second situation. In case you ever fail to accomplish full control of the hip with both feet, go ahead. If I get here and I lose, I kind of relax. Pendulum, squeezing the calves behind the knees. I cross my feet. It is very important that I squeeze these knees together. And instead of trying to go right now, I move my whole body out of the way. As I pull him here, look, I'm already holding him. He doesn't suffer any impact on the ground. And as I make the transition, I do not alleviate the pressure that I use against his legs. I only touch my knees on the ground, not my feet. As I go here, look how my feet are coiled, move a little bit. I try to keep my knees squeezed, move a little bit more. See, full control, I can use my arms, whatever he tries to do, pushing me off. Push again. See, I just kind of lift my chest, put my weight back, and eventually here, get out of the way, and stabilize on the side. I want to share with you a couple more things. And Clay, you're going to be the victim again. Come over here. Still, your partner stands up. As we're doing arm bars, that's our focus. I want to attack the arms. But if for some reason I feel it's not attainable, I'm going to work whichever opportunity he gives it to me. Normally when you attack and your partner defends, he stays open for reversals. So we're going to try to see a couple combinations that will make sense as we demonstrate. In this case, I have still the same control, double arm control. And the more I dig under the elbow, go ahead, move, go ahead, keep going, keep going. This case right now here, as you see, I have my toes kind of like behind his back. And every time he tries to get his posture, I'm going to kind of kick my legs. You see how I'm kind of shaking my hip under him. Go back again one time. So it's important here, as he tries to stand up, do you see how he has to carry my whole weight? Now here, look, as my hip bounces and rocks, I pull his elbow and I kick my legs forward, okay? This position now, anytime his head is taller than mine, that's a green light for me to attack the arm, okay? A lot of times from this position here, foot strong on the hip, okay? So if he tries to get the posture now, I put a lot of pressure against his hip. I really try to stop that. And I will try to grab his back with my calf. So I do a leg climb behind, and at the same time, I will let the grip go and push the elbow. As I do that, now I'm going to reach out for this leg to prevent him from fully standing up. If he tries to stand up right now, my legs are squeezing. These will prevent and make it a little easier for me. A lot of times what I like to do is to stop my leg over the shoulder first, to make sure I secure the arm. I'm not too much into getting the leg over the face right away, because some strong opponents, they might pull the arm out as I go for it, okay? So going back here, once I'm in the process of accomplishing the position, I do a transition, stopping right here. Now if he tries to pull, he cannot go that much anywhere. And I do the V grip, see? I have the elbow pushed in, V grip. Look how the wrist, one more time, the wrist kind of slide right on top of his wrist. You don't keep the elbow, but the wrist on top of it. Now I know I adjust my shoulder under. I already have the arm. I can tap him out right here, but I really like, are you okay there?
Yes, sir.
I really like to kind of do it like a kick out, just to kind of break his balance. He kind of went with the face down. Be careful with your partner as you do it. Clamp your legs really tight and do the full extension with your hip to tap him out. Go back again. So this part of kind of reaching under, make sure you don't pinch each other. I know it sounds kind of unnecessary for me to say that, but some people try to grab so tight. I really want to grab just the cloth, just the gi. Go ahead, stand up again. As he does, as I open my legs, I point my knees in, and I kind of keep my toes kind of behind his back there. As he tries to stand up, okay, what I'm going to do, just go back one step, is make sure I keep pulling his elbows like this, okay, kind of opening. You know, I don't pull towards me, I pull towards my shoulder. And as he goes for the position, go ahead again. Look how I rock. Okay, rock, I kick. As his head gets taller, foot on the hip, right away. Slide your leg tight behind the back. And here I will push the elbow and trap the shoulder. Once I get this far, it's very unlikely that he's going to be able to do anything about it. V-grip, get under him, get the leg over, either finish from here or break his balance a little bit and eventually finish him off when his weight is no longer over your chest. Now, I'd like to do one more sequence here. I'm going to go back to the previous position. Go ahead, stand up. I'm going here, partner got the posture high before I was able to flip him. I got this, but as I was going here, he actually stepped back one of his legs. So as soon as that happens, I add my foot on the hip and I'll focus all my attention on the arm and on the ankle. I'll go for the ankle pick. I will push his other leg out, spread his base a little bit more apart, get the hook inside his knee, and here the pressure is enough on the hip that anytime I pull his ankle, see how his leg slides? Here I don't have to make that much effort in order to get him on his back. Eventually pull my leg and end up on top. So this last variation would be something that you can do if for some reason your partner stands up and prevents you from accomplishing either the feet on the hip or the hip rocking with the leg kick. So as he gets a good posture there, go ahead. And I was going here, he stepped back one of his legs. See, my foot goes on the hip and I will use the sleeve control. As you notice here, I have both hands at this point. I really don't want him to do anything with his arm. Put the arm out. So I really don't. My other leg will be busy blocking his arm, but what I really want before he changes anything is control the ankle, push the leg. As I hook, pressure on the hip, slide his ankle, pull my leg, and end up on top. The infamous Kimura. And I'm using clay at this point with resistance. As we saw in the beginning of this footage, what's the key point here? I cannot be static here. I have to keep moving all the time. I'm always moving and trying to get my arms underneath. So I don't care where his hands land. My hands should always be underneath. Okay? If for some reason he does not give me space, I'll try to open a little bit, see how my hands get inside. So no matter where he starts, if you open or if you just circle, if you push, I want to see space, get your hands under. And as he tries to get his base, go ahead. See, I keep moving my body, look, spread out his arms, spread out. He tries to get his base. I use my knee, look, behind the elbow, so I can keep enough pressure. So if he tries to get his posture, go ahead. See, I keep pushing the wrist with my hand and pulling the elbow. I don't stop here. I really want to climb and kind of grab. As I do that, I kind of keep moving out of the way. Look, I'm moving out of the way like I'm dragging his hip down. Do you see how important it is to move the whole body? That's what I'm trying to explain here. It's not just your arm pulling, it's your whole body moving back and forth. Once you settle the angle, go for it. Some people like to work with the thumb inside, which in my opinion is kind of a weak lever. I like to keep the palm working on the wrist like that. I feel more comfortable so I can push all the way to the back. Now remember this, once you get to this stage, resistance stage, Clay, I keep moving my shoulder and my hip. Look how I'm moving. So I'm moving out of the way. One more thing here, do you see this leg here? If I keep my leg posted on the ground, you give him opportunity to roll over as I go for the pressure. He rolls over and
I might get him, I might not. He's gonna face me here and I miss the position. Go back to the position again, Clay. So this leg here will turn around quickly. This leg here is gonna anchor over the foot. Sometimes you can keep over the hip. I like to be here so I can have my foot posted on the ground. As it tries to resist, I move my shoulder and my hip. Look, I move it out of the way, out of the way. Look how his shoulder now is flat on the ground. This is the best position for the Kimura. Right now I have an angle that I can push his hand all the way beyond his head. Of course, there's no human being that can endure this kind of leverage. His elbow's gonna pop way before then. Okay, start over again. So, what I'm talking about here is, please do not be lazy if your goal is to get to the Kimura, okay? Because any minute he stands up on his feet, you're gonna lose that opportunity. So as we start here again, one more time, Clay, come on, spread out. See, I'm moving, look how I'm moving, spreading out, spreading out. I usually favor more my left. So I kind of try to secure the grip initially on the hand. I can use my knee here, look how I use my knee. I can use the knee to kind of bend the elbow, and that kind of makes a shortcut for me to reach out. I switch the grip, instead of keeping the thumb, I feel more comfortable here. Look my legs here, he's not trying to stand that way. I move my hip, look how I drag it. Stand up again one more time. Look my leg here behind his hip. Go ahead. Look how I pull his butt down. One more time. Stand up. I move away from him. I kind of stretch him out. Look my leg hooking over his foot here. So if he tries to roll, he's stuck there. Now here, I could eventually finish him here, but his shoulder is not touching the ground yet. You don't want to give a strong partner the opportunity to put the weight against you here. So hip and shoulder, look here. I move out of the way. Shoulder touches the ground, then I go for the full lever of the position. Okay, I'm kind of letting go the arm, but as you saw earlier on, I have the hand pushing the wrist. I have my wrist control, which at this point I'm keeping loose in order to save him from feeling any pain. Okay, and one last time, I want you to understand now how you're going to move in pendulum. Look my body here. See, I'm moving here. Okay, go ahead again. As soon as we start the Kimura game, look, my hands go ahead. There's the hand on my body. See, I'm opening and I get under. See here, I never stop moving and try to keep his hands spread out. Once I secure the hand on the wrist, I use my knee. That kind of gives me a shortcut here. As I go over the elbow, he still can get out. See here, I move my hip and I keep pressure down against his legs and hip. And once I hook the leg, hip and shoulder out of the way, full lever now to push all the way until he taps out. Kimura, holding both sleeves. And basically here what I'm trying to accomplish is not a slow motion position. You really have to be decisive when you go for that. My hip has to rotate very fast and a lot in order for me to get my knees inside the chest. So basically here, I establish this position. As you notice, his knees are on the floor, so I need to keep enough motion and pressure to prevent him from standing up on his feet, okay? So once I'm in this position here, as I open space, moving back and forth, as my foot gets contact with his hip, I literally put all my weight on my shoulder and face the ground. As you see here, I create now enough room that both of my knees get inside his arms at the same time. It is very important here that you spread out. Look how I bring his grip as much as possible. What I did in the beginning, in the first attempt, was to actually go for the lapel control. So if he tries to stand up from this position, not only I'll try to pull his arm with my knee, I'll keep pressure over here. Now as you go for the position here, always remember to move away from your partner. It's really important. That kind of helps breaking his balance and bringing him down. Eventually you go for the arm grip, you have the foot tracked, and like I said, you want his shoulder to touch the ground. So we move shoulder, move your hip, shoulder and hip. Once your shoulder's on the ground, as I mentioned earlier, you have the full lever to push and tap the guy out. Okay? And slow. So here I am. Okay, double sleeve grip. Once you open, as soon as your foot touches the ground, look my body rotation here. My hip doesn't touch the ground. I scoot my hip back a little bit. My knees squeeze together. Get inside and separate right away. Before he even thinks about standing up, I'm going for the collar. Go ahead, Clay. And I pull the elbow in with the knee. You see how fast I went that way? Go back. So here, look back. Once I get the collar, lift, slide under. Now as I pull the elbow, I push the wrist. I really have to put double lever right here. Okay? As soon as you can, go for the position. Remember to adjust the grip. Foot hook in the leg. Okay, you can push the other leg out a little bit. That always helps. You want to finish here, that's fine. I'd rather have you move your body out of the way until his shoulder touches the ground, and then you finish him off. One particular position here, real quick. Okay, I want you just to break down in 3 steps this position as you go. Foot on the hip, that's number 1. Rotation of your hip, squeezing your knees together. And as your hip touches the ground, you bring your knees in, and then you square with your partner. That's 2. As soon as you're here, spread out the legs. That's 3. Then you finish up with 3 extra steps. Collar control, lift the arm and bring his elbow with your knee. That's 2. And eventually here, you're going to switch the grip. As I go here, I don't have to hold the sleeve anymore. I kind of let go, and I anchor my foot. I still have my other foot kind of blocking his hip, so I always use that foot to push and keep his base spread out. Remember, the last and final step, hip, and always match moving the shoulder out. Hip, shoulder. Look how much lever I have, how much angle to push, okay? And one final observation on this position. Let's go to me. If at any point, when you go for the setup, double sleeve, okay, foot on the hip, I put enough pressure there, okay, he's trying to stand up. Go ahead. I always keep moving away from him. Look, I'm pushing his far leg, I'm pushing his hip. I always keep pressure with my knee under his elbow. Anytime he stands up, go ahead. Always keep pressure there. When I go for this position here, okay, I'm moving, pushing the leg, grabbing. Look how I kind of I feel he doesn't go anywhere. I grab him and I pull him down. See how I use my whole body here? Once he's there, I start going for the arm. As I was going for the arm at this point, if for some reason he's strong enough to overcome my grip and stretch his arm out, I'll hold his elbow, pull the elbow to fit my neck here. You see that? And now here, as I face him, my foot climbs on his hip. I move my hip and my shoulder. Look at that. I got a sideways angle here. Okay? Once I'm here now, I'll make sure that my ear squeeze against my shoulder, and I'll do a double grip here, pushing my forearm straight against his elbow as I kind of lock his wrist with my hand. Okay? So just doing what we call the reverse armbar once more. Once I'm here, remember. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? Put the position. He stretches out. Hide. Look here how I'm hide. Put your arm out. See, I try to keep my head grabbing his wrist. In the meantime, I reinforce the control here. I like to keep my feet here. Okay, so if he tries to move towards me, I kind of stop his hip from moving. I really like to be sideways in this position here. And then eventually here, I like to kind of cut off with this grip and put pressure until he taps out. You've seen on this sequence, I'm going for basically the same Kimura technique that we worked earlier on. But right now, I'm not committing my arm. I'm not doing any attempt to go with my arm, okay? What I'm doing here, in this case, I'm gonna kind of make you have a full frontal view of what's going on with the legs. I start the technique with a double sleeve control, foot on the hip, rotation. Knees inside, spread out, collar control, a lot of pressure on the hip. If you ever try to get his stance right now, see a lot of pressure, and I will get my knee right behind. As soon as that happens, the collar grip, I start posting my fist against his neck. If he tries to move this way, I really keep that pressure there, and I'm going to start climbing my leg over. At this point in time, I want to switch the grip of the sleeve and go for the belt, okay? He's gonna try to lift me up. Go ahead, Clay, come on. I kind of like do a little pendulum with my legs, and as I put my hip forward, I face away. Do you see how that allows me to drop his body? I'm almost on the verge of submitting him, but he still has some lever to get up again on his knees. So I have to keep dragging his body down by moving away from him and keeping pressure on his hip with the belt control. Once I feel he's flattened off on the ground, I'll post my foot and redirect the other leg towards him. You see that knee, how it points that way? That allows me now to kind of sit up. I never let go the arm. I keep staying with that grip all the time. I still have the hip. Very important. All I need to do now, I need to move my weight forward. So I post my leg on the ground so I can lift my hip off the ground, and now I can move as far as it takes to kick the leverage in. Okay, this is a very fast step. Please exercise caution when you apply that. Let's go back this step again one more time. So when I'm here, okay, as soon as I open the legs, as I stabilize the foot on the hip, sharp rotation, knees inside, control the lapel, slide the knee under the elbow. As you bump the knee, push the wrist, push the face, get your leg across, and switch the grip to the sleeve and the belt. As he tries to resist there, go ahead. I lift my legs and stretch my hips forward. Adjust the position. As he tries to still regain the posture there, if any time I feel he's actually gaining momentum there, I'll kind of bump my hips slightly, and I'll post my legs slightly more towards the elbow here. Go ahead, stand up a little bit. See here, once I put the weight on the elbow, he collapses right away. Now here, I'm close to the end. I still move my hip a little further out, you see, so I can kind of get him a little more flat. I still maintain this grip. I don't want him to pull his arm out at this stage. And I still want to keep control over his hip. Now, the right leg, in this case, posts on the ground. I move my hip out and I face him with my other knee pointing towards his shoulder. Now it's time for me to sit up. From this position, as you see, I cannot move my hip forward unless I post my right foot far back. That's very important that you learn that. I see a lot of times people doing a triangle like this and try to progress into the position. That's not possible for you to effectively finish. So post, lift, and move forward.